Howdy everyone, it's Sam. I hope you're doing really well. If you're new around here, I hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. I only got one tip wrong out of the NRLW and the NRL round last week. I tipped South, but bloody Penrith got up. Otherwise, I would have gotten the magnificent bloody tipping performance round, man. God damn it. So coming into this weekend, Canberra Raiders, if Broncos, Rabbits and Roosters, who are all on equal competition points with Raiders one win behind, obviously, I don't think Raiders get in. I don't think the Raiders get in. They got a worse for and against compared to the Brisbane Broncos as well. I just don't think Raiders will force their way in. Even if the Raiders win their last two games, I think if Broncos, Roosters, Rabbitohs win all three of their games this weekend, I think that's Raiders done and dusted. So Raiders need at least just one of those sides to lose this weekend. So let's get stuck into the tips. Penultimate round of the 2022 NRL season kicks off on Thursday night from Suncorp Stadium. The Brisbane Broncos host the Parramatta Eels. The Broncos, the home side, are $2.35 outsiders, and Parramatta Eels are $1.60. Not much team list news to go through. The only change for the Brisbane Broncos is Brenko Lee comes in for Deloise Hoyter, and Hoyter is selected as 18th man, and the Parramatta Eels have named an unchanged lineup. These two sides met only, 5 odd weeks ago, and that was down at CommBank Stadium, and the Broncos put the cleaners through the Parramatta Eels. But Mitchell Moses wasn't playing in that game, and he's backing up in this contest. However, Adam Reynolds plays game 250. The Broncos last week, very disappointing. I nearly tipped Brisbane Broncos. Glad I didn't. Brisbane Broncos, man, 60 points. Oh man, that's a big step backwards. But they get the opportunity 1 week later to atone for that awful performance against the Parramatta Eels, who are pretty much going win-loss. And while it might not be that, it's just that the inconsistency of the Parramatta Eels, man, you just don't know how they're going to go. And it's such an important contest for obvious reasons. I think it's 5th versus 8th on the NRL ladder, and if the Broncos lose, or if either of these two sides lose, there's still a chance that they miss out on finals footy, especially more so for the Brisbane Broncos. I think Parramatta Eels, if they get this victory, I think they're going to be a huge chance to go on a bit of a run, I think. I know that sounds weird, but because I just said that they're inconsistent, but I haven't fallen off their premiership hopes just yet for the Parramatta Eels. But for the Brisbane Broncos though, man, this is the last home game of the home and away season. There is still an opportunity to host a home semi-final. And again, Adam Reynolds, man, 250th game, Broncos outsiders, juicy at $2.35. Oh man, can you blame me for tipping Brisbane Broncos? It's going to be such a close game. I'm going to tip the Brisbane Broncos to win 1-12, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 20-18 sort of scoreline, man. So Brisbane Broncos to win a thriller on Thursday night. There are two games on Friday night, and game number 1 is from Bluebet Stadium for the last time in 2022 as part of the home and away season. The Penrith Panthers are hosting the New Zealand Warriors, and no surprises, the Penrith Panthers are $1.03 to the New Zealand Warriors $13, and that's on sportsbet.com.au. And for the Penrith Panthers, two massive inclusions. James Fisher-Harris is back from suspension, which means Jermaine Hopgood reverts out of the side. And Jerome Luai, I knew it. I knew he'd be back either this week or the next week, and he is. So he's going to get some game time under his belt just before finals footy. That's massive. That's enormous. So Jerome Luai is back, which means Jamin Salmon moves out of the side completely as well. And the bench reads Kenny, Eisenhuth, Linu, and Charlie Staines. And maybe there could be a chance that Staines drops out for a forward as well. So watch this space. And then for the New Zealand Warriors, there are a couple of changes. Chanel Harris-Tavita partners Sean Johnson in the halves, and Dynamis Louis comes onto the bench. And besides that, you've got Josh Curran moving into the second row, and Jack Murchie will be, where is he? He's out with an injury, and Bunty Afoa is a lock as well. So it's a weird, not weird, but Stacey Jones, man, Chanel Harris-Tavita is not going to be there. Give someone like Dejan Arce, who has been a Warriors fan all of his days and needs a NRL contract, give him some more time, man. And he hasn't been playing awfully, I would say, but they did get touched up last week against the Cowboys. Penrith Panthers by 13 plus on Friday night. And the main event on Friday night is from Amy Park, the last home and away game for Melbourne. It is the Melbourne Storm versus the Sydney Roosters, and the Storm are $1.55 and the Sydney Roosters are $2.45. And I should probably just reiterate that it's their last home game of the regular season as well. There are changes for both of these sides. Big inclusions. Felice Corfusi is back from personal leave, and he comes straight back into the start on side with jersey 11 on his back, and Tui Kamikamika comes off the bench in jersey number 15, and the rest of the Melbourne Storm bench reads Chris Lewis, Kamika, Eisenhuth, and Josh King. And for the Sydney Roosters, they get two massive boppers back into the side. Lindsay Collins comes back after a concussion layoff, and Takeaho Suiase Takeaho is coming off the bench in jersey 17, and so is Lindsay Collins as well. So that means Drew Hutchinson and Terrell May are off of the side as well. I think the Sydney Roosters are in better form than the Melbourne Storm. Storm have defeated half-strength Penrith Panthers outfit, and they took care of a really out-of-form Brisbane Broncos outfit, whereas the Sydney Roosters, they've done in the Broncos and the Tigers, and I don't think there's enough being made about the Cowboys putting in a performance against the Roosters where there was clearly a lot on their minds. So I think that the Roosters are coming into the contest in a lot better form. They look ferocious, man. It looks like that the game plan has finally sunk in, and here come the Roosters. So, and just quietly, as a Cowboys fan, we need the Roosters to win this Friday night to keep the Melbourne Storm at bay. And I think that would be it. I think if the Sydney Roosters win on Friday night, it will be Cowboys versus Sharks, depending on whether or not Cowboys and Sharks obviously win their games as well. But a Roosters win is what Cowboys need. A Roosters win is what I'm going to tip. Roosters to travel down to Melbourne to win 1-12. But also, Sydney Roosters haven't beaten the Melbourne Storm, or they haven't beaten a top tier side in a few years. So this is massive. This is a massive litmus test for the Roosters' premiership credentials. Because they're coming. So Roosters 1-12 on Friday. Super Saturday features 3 contests, and game number 1 from Canberra at GIO Stadium features the Raiders versus the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles, and the Raiders are $1.25 to the Sea Eagles $4. The Raiders are unchanged. There are touches for the Manly Sea Eagles, though there is a young debutant named Raymond Tuimalo Viega. Sorry, bro, but Raymond Tuimalo Viega, he's wearing jersey number 2 in place of Alfred Smalley, and you've got Tofafoa Sipley starting in jersey 10, Andrew Davey with jersey 12 on his back, and Martin Tapau comes off the bench for the Sea Eagles. This is must win. for the Canberra Raiders. We all know that. They lose this game, they are out of finals contention, especially if the Broncos and Rabbits and Roosters win their respective contests this weekend. The Sea Eagles, though, man, they like giving the Raiders some curry. In particularly earlier this season, the Sea Eagles put the Raiders to the sword out there in Mudgee. I think the scoreline was about 25 points to 6. So they put the cleaners through them, and I don't know, I'm not getting a 13 plus points victory vibe from the Canberra Raiders, especially that they nearly got done in by the Newcastle Knights this past Sunday. It's heart attack stuff if you're a Raiders fan for the next fortnight or so for sure. But I think Manly, I kind of want to tip him. I don't know, man. I think the likes of DCE and Kohler, Foran, I really think they want to wreak havoc on the Canberra Raiders season. But I'm going to do the safe option here and tip the Canberra Raiders. Canberra Raiders to win this one in a thriller. And these two sides have played a few thrillers over the past 4 or 5 years, man, excluding the one earlier this season. So Canberra Raiders to win this one 1-12 to keep their season alive. The second game on Super Saturday is from Shark Park. The Cronulla Sutherland Sharks host the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, and the Cronulla Sharks $1.07 to the Bulldogs $9, and there are team list changes for both of these sides. Siasaifai Talakai is back for the Cronulla Sharks, meaning Connor Tracy moves out of the side completely. That's unfortunate because, man, he is such an impressive warhorse, that bloke Connor Tracy. Really strong player. And also you've got Teague Wilton who comes back into the side. Therefore, Braden Trindle comes out of the squad, out of the side completely. So Teague Wilton and Talakai are back. And Tavita Pangai Jr., this bloke has been in and out of the side 4 or 5 times in 2022, man, with injury or just whatever, but super inconsistent from Tavita Pangai Jr. for the Bulldogs this season, man. So therefore, Chris Patolo comes into the side. I think about a month ago, I would have said this Sharks-Bulldogs game could provide a bit of curry for the Sharks. I think the Bulldogs were very much in form and could have played a style of footy that could have troubled the Sharkies, but Sharks, man, they'll win this one 13 plus against the Bulldogs for sure. On the Sunday ticket, there are 2 games, and game number 1 is from CommBank Stadium. The West Tigers are hosting the St. George Illawarra Dragons. The Tigers are $3, whereas the Dragons are $1.40, and then that's on Sportsbet. And both of these sides have huge changes, man, a lot of changes. So I'll just go through the entire side for both of these squads. So Dane Laurie is at fullback, Naden and Junior Pauga are the wingers, and then Stafford Toa and Asu Kopoa are the centres for the West Tigers, and then the halves pairing is Dewey and Jock Madden. And then the forward pack is Joe Offahengawi, Jake Simpkin at hooker and Zane Musgrove, and then the back row for the Tigers reads Freeban, Tuolangi and Faamanu Brown. Faamanu Brown at lock, hey, not hooker. Alrighty, there you go. The interchange bench reads Fonua Pole, Austin Dias, Jacob Little in jersey number 16, and Kitioni Kautoga in jersey number 17. And 18th man is Justin Matamua. And then for the St. George Illawarra Dragons, there's a few changes there as well. So 1 through to 7 is relatively unchanged. Jack Bird, though, does move from the lock position from last week into the centre role. And then the forward pack reads Aaron Woods and Blake Laurie are going to be starting because Francis Molo has been suspended for his high shot. And Jaden Sullivan will start with jersey number 9 on his back because Andrew McCulloch is out with an injury as well. The back row reads Maguire, Sewer and Jack DeBellin. And the interchange bench for the Dragons reads Fui Maono, Jaden Hunt, Jackson Ford and Tyrell Sloan in jersey number 17. I bet you he gets replaced, but we'll see what happens. 18th man is Jack Gurzeski. The Dragons scored 46 points, man. Just about put 50 points on the Gold Coast Titans last week. They're missing tackles still, and they're clearly deserving to be where they are. The Dragons, that's outside of the top 8. They allowed 26 points to be put on them by the Gold Coast, but Tigers just don't have the attack. They are cooked. They are absolutely cooked, and I think the Dragons will travel to Compank, and I think we could probably see a similar scoreline, but with less points from the losing side. So I can see maybe like a 46 points to 16 scoreline going the way of the Dragons. I think they'll be pretty good on Sunday. Final game of round 24 is from Cbus Super Stadium. It's the Gold Coast Titans hosting the Newcastle Knights, and the Titans are $1.45 to the Newcastle Knights $2.75, and there are team list changes for both of these sides. So starting with the Gold Coast Titans, Patrick Herbert is out, Philip Sami comes back in, and then the forward pack for the Gold Coast Titans is unchanged, but there is a young debutant, Cleese Haas. I think he's a relative of Payne Haas. He makes his NRL debut in jersey 17, and Paul Turner has been named in jersey number 14 for the Gold Coast Titans. And 18th man is Corey Thompson. Jared Wallace is straight out of the side as well. Gee whiz, man. Then the Newcastle Knights, the 1 through to 7 is unchanged, and Tyson Frizzell is back into the side. You've got Matt Croker in there at jersey number 17 as well. And Suiasa Su starts in the lock position. Newcastle Knights, although they, in the COVID period over the past couple of seasons, have gone a ways to rectifying their win-loss ratio in Queensland, it's still not good, man. It's still not very good. They're a bad travelling Queensland side. They got done by the Brisbane Broncos and the Cowboys earlier this season as well. I think they won in Magic Round though, but that was against the Bulldogs. Against the Gold Coast Titans in recent history, they are bad. They don't travel well to the Gold Coast, and last year I think the Titans put a scoreline on them to the tune of 44-18 or something along those lines, and I don't think we'll get a scoreline like that, but I do think the Titans have the potential to win by 13 plus. Tyson Frizzell is a big in though. Tyson Frizzell is a massive in. And Daniel Saifidi is back as well, actually. Daniel Saifidi is back, so I'll actually go Titans 1 to 12. I won't say 13 plus. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens, but I'm going to go the Gold Coast Titans to win this one 1 to 12 on Sunday. Yo, that's it for me this week, guys, for the NRL tips. The NRLW tips will come out tomorrow evening. Thank you all very much for the continuous support. I hope your team gets up this weekend, except for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everybody.